the Red Sox just signed a reliever that has the potential to be a really interesting signing. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and woohoo, we have news. Well, sort of, right? This is a very minor signing that isn't going to be making any sort of waves in terms of front page news or anything like that, like we've been hoping the Red Sox eventually make. But this signing does have the potential to be super fascinating, both with his fit on the team and the actual contract itself, because while on the surface, this isn't exactly the most interesting signing in the world, if you break it down a little bit, it definitely is. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break this contract down. We're going to talk about what makes this so interesting, who the person they signed is, how they fit in with this team, and what this means for the future of the Boston Red Sox. But before we get into that, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We are about 900 subscribers away from that mark. If you're new here, do us a favor, help us get there by hitting that subscribe button. We talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So for those of you who may not have heard already, the contract we are talking about today is a 2-year minor league contract for a guy named Michael Fulmer. He's a right-handed relief pitcher, and his salary in terms of his contract is about $1.5 million if he were to make the major league roster, with incentives added on to this deal that could push him up to the $2 million mark. Now, right off the bat, I know some of you guys are sitting there thinking to yourself, hey, Corbin, what do we do and make an entire video talking about a minor league pickup, right? That probably won't have a big effect on the club. Well, there are a couple reasons for this. The first reason is because, honestly, there's really not a whole lot to talk about Red Sox news-wise, right? There really isn't much else going on besides this. And the second reason is because he actually could have some pretty decent impact on the team in the future. And the reason I say the future, and the reason this contract is so fascinating to me, is because Michael Fulmer this offseason underwent UCL revision surgery. This means that Michael Fulmer will not be able to pitch in 2024, which begs the question, why do the Red Sox want to sign this guy? Or why did the Red Sox want to sign this guy? Well, one of the first reasons is because he's actually a really solid addition to a bullpen. Michael Fulmer was a former Rookie of the Year winner who was, at the start of his career, a starting pitcher in the Detroit Tigers rotation. However, after a couple seasons, he was then moved to the bullpen in 2021, where he's been solid ever since. In 3 seasons after being moved, he has a 3.55 ERA with a little bit higher but not too concerning of a FIP at 370, a 1.324 whip, which is slightly higher and probably has a lot to do with his 3.6 walks per 9, but he does have a solid 9.4 strikeouts per 9 that time as well. This has all led to a 119 ERA plus, or he's been about 19% more productive than the average pitcher in Major League Baseball out of the bullpen in those 3 seasons. During his time as a bullpen piece, he has some experience closing games, but mainly he's been used in sort of a Chris Martin role for the Red Sox, obviously to a lesser degree statistic-wise, but in terms of actual role on a team, he's been sort of that 7th, 8th inning type pitcher. He's also only 30 years old right now, so when he does have the opportunity to come back, he's going to be about 32 years old. That's not exactly super young, but it's also not super old either, and we saw last year just how important older bullpen pieces could be. So when you're looking at this from strictly a production standpoint, taking a risk on Michael Fulmer does make some sense. He has the ability to be an impact bullpen piece, and he has the ability to be a solid weapon for the Red Sox in the future. But what's also super intriguing about this pickup is the timing of everything. The Red Sox going into the 2025 season, when Michael Fulmer is fully healthy and ready to go, will be missing both Chris Martin and, if Kenley is not traded, Kenley Jansen. Now, these guys are going to be going towards their age 40 season, and unless Chris Martin has another year like he had last year, you're probably losing both of their productions, if not earlier with Kenley Jansen. The timing of this is super interesting because Michael Fulmer immediately becomes an option to supplement the loss of both Chris Martin and Kenley Jansen, which I think is something that's kind of smart by the Red Sox. This is some very forward thinking in order to supplement something that hasn't even happened yet. On top of this, this could also point to how the Red Sox actually felt the James Paxton contract worked out. James Paxton got a similar deal by the Boston Red Sox even before Craig Breslow was a part of this organization, albeit it was for a lot more money and it was on the major league roster, but it was sort of a similar situation. Now, the Red Sox, despite what we may think about their medical staff, overall in Major League Baseball have a highly regarded medical staff. They have one that players really appreciate. Maybe this is something the Red Sox look into. If they felt as though, hey, James Paxton was pretty productive in 2023 until he ran out of gas, maybe we start looking into some more players who need some rehab time, get them for cheap, and start planning about, longer term solutions to problems coming up over the next couple of years. Could this sort of indicate that, hey, maybe we're looking at a Brandon Woodruff type player where he could be a frontline starting pitcher. He just needs some time to get back into swing of things because of his rehab status. I'm not entirely sure if this actually points towards any interest in Brandon Woodruff. I'm not going to make the claim that the Red Sox are interested in Brandon Woodruff because of this deal, but it could indicate that they felt as though the James Paxton contract was successful enough to try it again in a lesser capacity. And to add another layer to this entirely fascinating deal by the Boston Red Sox, Michael Fulmer was someone who Craig Breslow had some influence on coming to the Chicago Cubs, because that's where he last pitched. In 2023, he was brought to the Chicago Cubs on a one-year, $4 million deal where he had a solid but not great season, finishing with a 4.42 ERA, a significantly lower 4.15 FIP, indicating he was a bit unlucky on the mound, and a 1.33 WHIP with a much higher than career-wise 4.4 walks per nine, but also a much higher 10.3 strikeouts per nine than the rest of his career led on. What this led to was a 102 ERA plus, or right around that league average mark, about 2% more productive than the average pitcher in the game. Clearly, Craig Breslow feels as though there is something more to unlock with Michael Fulmer. He believes that he can get Michael Fulmer back to that 21-22 type reliever where he was sitting in the high 2s and low 3s in terms of ERA. This could be a really interesting piece of the Michael Fulmer puzzle. The fact that Craig Breslow believes in him and wants to bring him not only to the Chicago Cubs, but also to the Boston Red Sox as well, points to what Michael Fulmer could be. You add in the additions of the driveline guy, you add in the new director of pitching, and you add an Andrew Bailey to this mix, and there's a really decent possibility that the Red Sox could get Michael Fulmer back to when he was producing right around that 3 ERA level between 21 and 2022, where he pitched for the Detroit Tigers and the Minnesota Twins. So overall, when you're looking at this contract as a whole, again, on the surface, it's not super interesting. It's just another minor league deal in an offseason where the Red Sox have made a whole lot of minor league deals, but I really think this contract could be extremely smart. Because this is a minor league contract and there's no legitimate requirement or risk to putting him on the major league roster, it becomes a low risk, high reward situation. If he comes back in 2025 and he doesn't end up getting to the point that the Red Sox feel comfortable having him pitch in a significant role in the major league bullpen, they don't have to put him there, right? It's not James Paxton, where you did take a slightly significant risk because he was on a major league contract and because you were giving him millions of dollars as opposed to $1.5 million, right? There's basically no risk involved with Michael Fulmer. Then you take a look at, hey, this guy was pretty solid for a pretty decent period of time when he was in the bullpen role. You're going to need that level of production now that you are missing Kenley Jansen and Chris Martin, and this is someone Craig Breslow has been familiar with over the course of his front office career. All of these combined, again, make this contract super fascinating. It also, in my opinion, makes it a really smart move. It's a longer-term outlook on the Boston Red Sox that I think is going to be really important for their success. But maybe I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill here, and we don't hear anything about Michael Fulmer for the next 2 years, and he ends up pitching for the Kansas City Royals in 2026, and that's that, right? That could also happen as well. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Are you as fascinated with this deal as I am? Do you not care at all about this, or is this something you're very against? Let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox signing Michael Fulmer in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.